Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by Sheena Boychuk Real Estate. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall, and my guest early this morning, he's out in Florida. He is a former head coach, former NHL general manager, and president in the National Hockey League. He also just released a book on October 3rd called Draft Day. We'd like to welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast, Doug MacLean. Mac, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me on.
No. Thanks for joining us again. It's been a bit of time since we've had you on last, but obviously some exciting news in your world and in releasing a book. I'm sure that experience has been pretty good and has brought a lot of great conversations, a lot of good memories back and forth. Actually, I was even talking to Gilbert Brulé when you were doing your interview with Donnie and Dolly. Probably about a month or so ago, just kind of how you still support that draft pick many years later, and everyone takes some heat at times, but the fact that you support him, and obviously it's a guy that you know very well, and someone I connected with. But how's the reaction of the book been since its release?
I didn't know what to make of it, Joshua. I didn't really know what the expectations would be. Simon & Schuster were excited about it, so I guess I was. But, it's been amazing. We did the book launch October 3rd, and we've been a Canadian bestseller 6 weeks in a row. And I know Simon & Schuster is sort of blown away by it, so I'm really pleased. I think the response has been overwhelming, to be quite honest. And even in the U.S., we're starting to get a little bit of traction with the title. If you're interested in hockey and the draft, you'll probably give the book a chance. So it's been really positively received and overwhelming, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's obviously a good thing too. It's in my mind. Is there some excitement that brings back some good memories? Obviously, we were just kind of talking about Gilbert Brulé and how much you care about that person and that player. Is there anything else in the book to you that kind of stood out that brought back some good memories of kind of you supporting what you did and who you drafted and either who you traded for and whatnot?
It's funny, it was sort of it was kind of a combination. I talked a little bit about growing up in PEI and, starting as a high school teacher and a junior or bantam coach and a high school coach and a junior coach in PEI, and then getting a chance to be an assistant coach in London. And, when I was doing my master's at Western, and it was a bit on my career, but it sort of hit home. All my buddies in PEI in the backyard rink and growing up there, and how far away at that time, my first year in the NHL was 1987, how far away the NHL was from PEI. And I sort of had like great memories, even when I was rereading the book after it was finished and thinking about, all the great times I had with my buddies in PEI, and then to dream when I was playing for the Montreal Junior Canadiens. My dream as a 17-year-old, my dream was to play in the NHL. And then my dream changed to becoming a coach in the NHL. So, you're just pretty lucky in your life that you get to reach some of your, goals. So that's sort of what I get a kick out of when I read, the chapter called The Hockey Lifer is sort of, and I mean, I remember, Joshua, being down and out in Brockville where, I left my boarding house and I had $5 in my pocket and I didn't have any place to sleep. And I think, oh my God, I'm homeless here, as a 19-year-old. So it's just funny how those were the greatest memories of doing the book, my mom and dad growing up watching me. So, the drafting was, what I tried to do was explain the picks. And hey, my scouts were nervous when I started to write this book. They were basket cases over what was going to come out. And I kept telling them, Boydie, who was a great friend of mine, was with me for 10 years. Actually, Don Boyd gave me my first chance in London as an assistant coach with the Knights. I didn't even know him, and he gave me a chance to be his assistant. And he's the guy that really was a big part of my career. But I said, Boydie, don't be nervous. I mean, I'm going to explain the picks. And, that's what I tried to do. And if anybody took the blame, I took the blame. I'm the GM. I'm the guy that that has to make the. Although the scouts really make the call, you're the GM's the guy. You're the boss.
Yeah,
and that's the way it is.
No, it is. It is. Yeah, it's interesting. You kind of tell that story. Last night, I was connecting with a friend. We just went for a tea and just kind of a drive, and it's been emotional couple days here, and I was watching Ken Hitchcock's Hall of Fame speech. I don't know if you ended up getting to watch it. I think you did. I think you actually, yeah, you did, because you tweeted something really great about how great James Duthie is as a host on steering the conversation and all that. Now I remember seeing that on Twitter, but and just the Hitch comment, Mac, is just how much he loved the players, how much the players meant to him, and he obviously talked about a player that he had in 1982 and then left the team in 1983, and then so many years later, this player had sent him a letter that got to someone in 2016, but somehow it didn't get to Hitch until 3 months ago, and that player was fighting through a lot of, somewhat demons and whatnot. And the point of the story is that, the how much hockey can help you. And, you and I've connected on so many levels here of what you've done for me and leading on me when I'm going through a tough time and checking in on me and stuff like that. And that's all because this game of hockey brings people together.
I must have missed something. I don't remember my time with Hitch that he loved the players that much. It must have been just my player.
Yeah,
because I don't remember a love fest going on with the players and Hitch.
No,
I listened to that comment and I thought, maybe we're buttering it up a little for the Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah. Well, obviously, everyone knows that there was players that could just dream of maybe getting away from him. But
anyway, you know what? It's congratulations to him. And hey, like when you make when you're the fourth winningest coach in NHL history, that pretty well tells you all you need to know. And you know what? He had a great career. And I last time I talked to him was at the Rick Nash jersey retirement. We had a great chat. And, life goes on. And I chuckle about, all the tough times. I really, now that I'm retired and living life, I'm thinking, God, they were tough times. It was pressure like you can't believe. And it was criticism and just ripping you and your family and everything being affected by it and dramatically affected by it. As Jill says to me, she brings up something that happened in our 11 years in Columbus. And I said, what? And she said, oh, I forgot you were MIA for 10 years with our family, by the way. So, so and that was the fun part of the book, talking about all the interesting challenges of being a GM and being a coach in the NHL. It's a tough grind, as you guys witnessed in Edmonton this week. It's a tough part of the business for both the management. I mean, firing coaches was a miserable experience. And in my situation, Dave King, Gerard Gallant, I was made to fire them by my owner. And it really, to this day, it really ticks me off.
Yeah.
Because there was no, and I put that in the book, and there was no question. I got a phone call, fire the coach. And I said, hey, Mr. Mack, I don't think we should do it. Fire the coach. That was it. Zero conversation. And, here you are, and you can't tell the coach that.
No.
You can't tell the coach that, that's just the way it is. You have to take the heat, And, Hitchcock, I chuckled when I was thinking about Hitch in the Hall of Fame. I remember going to a meeting with Don Boyd, Jim Clark, and my owner, Mike Priest. And the decision was Andy Murray or Ken Hitchcock. Those are the two guys I interviewed, okay, when Gerard Gallant was let go.
Yeah.
Those are the two guys I interviewed. And I said, Mr. Mack, we got to go with Ken Hitchcock. He's won a Stanley Cup. Both the guys have got good backgrounds, both quality. We got to go with Hitchcock. And he said to me, I think you should go with Murray. That's what he said to me in the meeting. And then I read for 10 years that I was forced to hire Hitchcock. I'm the one that fought for him in the meeting.
Yeah.
But these idiots in Columbus, the writers, he was forced. I saw it written a month ago that I was forced to hire Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Like, what a joke. Anyway, that's life. That's life in the NHL, and that's part of the package, and you certainly don't complain about it.
Yeah,
because it's a great job.
Yeah,
a great job.
It is for sure. It's and there's obviously the tough moments, and like you said, we just saw it this week, and we just had Bob Stauffer on earlier in the week, and he had talked about the charitable work that Jay Woodcroft did with Mark Spector's charity here in Edmonton, and obviously it was Spec that asked a tough question after the loss in San Jose, that are you worried about your job? And then there's a clipping that the Spit and Chicklets guys posted that Jay Woodcroft goes, Spec, I don't listen to your stuff. I don't read your articles and all that. And so Spit and Chicklets blew that up. And then so Spector saw it.
I thought Spec was going to cry when he said that to him, actually, because he's such a cheerleader.
Yeah. It was.
Well, he's a cheerleader when they're winning, and he's mad at them when they're losing. Yeah. I love reading Spec. Oh my God. Yeah. He's up and down more than the coach and GM.
He is.
Anyway.
He is for sure. So I saw him the other day too, walking into the ring. So we took a minor hockey team to a morning skate, so they got to experience.
Oh, good.
They didn't ski, but our NHL news and notes segment is brought to you by Sheena Boychuk. Yes, you heard that last name right. That's Sheena Boychuk. As a licensed realtor, Sheena has you covered to buy and sell your home in this hot market. She also offers home consulting services to help you upgrade your living space. Check her website out at sheenaboychuk.com and tell her the 2 Months podcast sent you. Realty by Design, your design approach to real estate. We'd like to thank Sheena for jumping on. This is a new sponsor for us. We're very excited to have her join us here on this 2 Months podcast journey. Another thing before we get to the current events of the NHL. So I was listening to Jeff Marek and Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thoughts podcast that they released on Monday. And Jeff Marek told a story about Todd Marchant and yourself. Pretty much that they had a fan question. A guy called in asking about the waivers because, Donoff, if he, didn't like going, he is on his list. He didn't want to go to the Anaheim Ducks. So if he was placed on waivers, would he still be able to go to the Ducks? So the fan was asking, does that work still through waivers? And, so Jeff Marek ended up coming back off after the fan question about saying, years ago when you had Todd, I guess there was, I don't know, a disagreement. You can elaborate more on it, but gist of the story is that, he had a no trade clause, but you could place him on waivers because he had a no move clause. He didn't have a no move clause, and the team that wanted him, he can claim him on waivers, or didn't want him can claim him on waivers. And the part of the story is that you invented the full no move clause because of this in the NHL. So can you elaborate a little bit more on this story and what your side?
Here's what really happened. And Jeff is always close to the truth, but just a little off.
Yeah.
Like he used to tell stories, and I'd say, Jeff, no, that's not right. I was in the room when that happened. Yeah. Sorry, I was in the room. He's great. I love Jeff.
Yeah,
so here's what happened. I want to get Fedorov because I'm in dire straits to fix Zherdev up a little bit. And I thought, okay, if I get Fedorov, maybe I can. It'll salvage Zherdev. That was the whole rationale behind the trade. So I called Todd. Todd had really ticked my owner off in the lockout. Okay, he said he was quoted in the Columbus paper about maybe the owners will take the shackles off us players in this agreement. And my owner was ballistic over that comment. He was so upset with Todd. He never wanted to see him again. Okay. And so that's the part that was never, ever told. So Todd Marchant's guy, got to do something with Todd Marchant. I got to move. So anyway, he's in the deal. He comes into my office. I said, I'm trading you to Anaheim. And he looked at me, he said, I'm not going. I have it in my in my no trade, I don't have to go. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. So that afternoon, I put him on waivers because the money had to be evened up here with Fetter. So what I did is I traded Tyler Wright and I traded Marchant, and it basically made the money. And Beauchemin went in that deal too, which is a big mistake. And he was playing in Syracuse at the time. We didn't know. We liked him, but we didn't. We had picked him up on waivers so much. We didn't know how good he's. So anyway, Todd says he's not going. I said, oh, okay. So I phoned Berkey and Anna. I said, Berkey, Todd Marchant won't go. So I'm going to put him on waivers. You pick him up on waivers, and the deal's done. So Berkey says, fine. So then I'm sitting in the stands the next day. Chris McFarland, who was my administrative hockey ops guy, comes up to me. He said, Berkey didn't take Marchant. I said, he what? He didn't take Marchant. I got Fetter off. The deal's done. And he didn't take Marchant. So I'm sitting there with a $3.5 million problem in my hands. I phoned Berkey. I said, Berkey, the deal is you're taking Marchant. Oh, don't, Doug. We could get in trouble with the league. I said, Berkey, there's nothing to get in trouble with the league. I'm putting him back on waivers. You better take him. So Berkey takes him the next day, and that's in. So that's when the league came in that summer. The PA lodged a big investigation. There was nothing there. And I had put him on waivers. I had gotten calls from 10 teams about him. It was, so it wasn't, I was trying to move the money is what I was trying to do. So they had nothing on me. So anyway, then they came in that summer with the no movement clause. So that's how it happened, which is kind of funny, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Todd Marchant. I mean, I worked so damn hard to get into it. When I got Todd Marchant to come to Columbus, it was 12 offers he had that draft in that free agent period. He left the Oilers, and it was 12 teams that tried to get Todd, and he came to Columbus. So he was really disappointed to go, and it was a tough time, really tough time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy at times. Like I was around some players this summer doing some off ice work and then some on ice work, and then just the kind of even the pressure that these guys face. I just even remember just being around Noah Gregor, and 25 years old, he had 10 or 13 goals the year prior, and no contract. Obviously, you got one with the Leafs, right. But it was just guys. It's real tough. It's guys squeezed out, and some guys still thinking they have a lot left to give, and and then guys that have contracts are even that's sitting there, they're like, man, I didn't score for 6 games, and it's wearing on them. There's the pressure on the player.
Yeah, it is, and it's the same in management. And like we all forget about the scouts, and that was a big part in the book about how important the scouts are, the job they do, and the role they play. Do you know how many scouts in the off season phone me and say, "Hey, Mac, I can't find a job. I can't find a job." It's a management change, and scouts are out the door, and it's tough. And they don't make a lot of money. They don't, it's a grind, and we all forget about those lesser guys in the business who really have a tough time when there's management changes. And scouts get fired. It's really tough. And I had it this summer with a couple of great friends of mine that were desperate looking for jobs, and haven't found jobs. That's the part we never talk about in the game, or the lesser guys that lose jobs, assistant coaches, video coaches, all these guys, scouts. It's a tough part of it.
Why don't you think we talk about it enough, Mac? Is it because it's that those in life, those tough conversations, those not easy conversations, and it can bring some, definitely some pain, obviously it brings tough moments, but what do you think there's a trigger to that? Is it why we can't talk about it more, or should we? And we obviously should be talking about it more.
There's a real perception out there that once you're in the NHL, it's easy to stay in the NHL. Like keep talking about, coaches get rehired and GMs get rehired and scouts get rehired, but there's a lot of guys that don't. There's a lot of guys that don't get rehired. If you're a big name and you've had a fairly successful career, but like I talked about in the book, if a GM is 15% successful in the draft, he's had a good career. How scary is that?
Yeah.
But the big issue is we don't think about the lesser guys in organizations that feel the pain of a GM or somebody getting fired. And they're not, we don't think of it because they're lesser. They're looked at as, oh, he'll get a job scouting somewhere else, or he'll get a job, coaching, being an assistant coach somewhere else, and but a lot of guys don't.
Yeah.
That's the tough part about it. And it's a business that, the big boys in the business get paid well. The people in management get paid well, but as you go down the food chain, it is horrendous where the pay scales go to. Yeah. Horrendous.
Oh, it's a drop for if anyone doesn't even know. Like, I'm privy to some things, but there's some things I probably don't even know. But it's a huge drop.
You know what I said? I'll never forget. I was working for Ron Caron in St. Louis, and I was assistant coach, making $35,000 a year, and I was making 40 at UNB before I went to St. Louis. We were out for dinner, and I go to pay my share of the meal, and Ron Caron looks at me. He said, "You're out to dinner with me. You will never pay for a meal. I'm the GM. I will always pick up your tab." And it was a great lesson for me. And never once, when I was out in Columbus with my staff, I bought every time the team bought, but it was like, you guys are not paying for anything when you're with me. That was a small gesture towards the appreciation of these people and how hard they work. That's all it was about. Yeah. Yeah. And that to me is important. But anyway, you know what? It's a great career. It's tough to make the NHL, whether you're a player, scout, whatever you are, and it's tough to stay.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
Coach Rupper here from 2 Months. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. Now let's grab a knee. Have I got a deal for you? We have teamed up with Manscaped, and we can save you some big-time coin this upcoming NHL season. Guys, are your sticks and pucks getting hairy in the corners? And gals, is your goalie still using horsehair Coopers? Well, let's wake up! Use the code 2MUTS to save 20% plus free shipping on Manscaped products. Listen, we all love to score and we all want to win the cup. Why not do it on a fresh, clean, smooth sheet of ice? That way we all win. Manscaped is the only way to go. Again, the code is 2MUTS to save 20% plus free shipping on Manscaped products. Now let's bring it in. Manscaped on 3. 1, 2, 3.
We'll shift over to the Oilers here and some NHL stuff before we get you out, Mac. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit there, but do you overall thoughts of the move? I know we were kind of texting there. You do like the coffee kind of hire bringing him in, and it sounds it is one game, but Matthias Ekholm spoke highly of having him on the bench and what that could bring for individual players, and obviously he's going to treat every player differently, but I know that a lot here is the title. He's the advisor to the owner, and he's on the bench, and he's in the locker room, and he's in the coach's room. So a chain of command could be broken there in some which ways, but regardless, and obviously the narrative is Daryl Cates got his guy behind the bench, and Paul Coffey and Connor McDavid got his guy behind the bench, and Chris Knobloch, but McDavid did speak to the media saying that that's further from the truth. He was caught off guard by this. Your thoughts of the whole situation and where we're at, and I think the Oilers can get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I know Woodcroft a little bit. I talked to him a couple times when he's in Detroit, because my son went to a university where he had played, and so we talked about that and those. But I didn't really know him. I know a little bit of his dad in Toronto and, the family, but I didn't really know him. But as I watched from afar, not knowing what was going on, I knew it was inevitable. It was unraveling so bad that they had to do something. They had to do something if they're going to salvage and have a chance to make the playoffs. And unfortunately, that's what happens. So I don't, Jeff Jackson, in my opinion, stepped to the plate here. He's new at his job, new president, new CEO, whatever he is, CEO, president. I think he stepped to the plate. I don't think and I listened to him talk.
Yeah.
There's not a snowball's chance he talked to Connor McDavid about this. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
It was Jeff Jackson's call and Coffey's call. And I'm proud of Koff. I was with Koff for a number of years in Detroit. I've always liked him. And he's got a strong opinion. He knows the game. He knows the game really well. And for him to go onto the bench, never being an assistant coach, I know he was a skills guy there before, never being on the bench, I suspect the conversation was, we're in a situation that people have got to step up here and do some really different things. And Koff, we know you're advisor to the owner, but we need you in this role right now. And I think I'm looking at this move between Jeff and Kenny and Paul Coffey as being a gutsy move. I really do. Chris Knobloch has a reputation of a good coach in junior in American League. I mean, he missed the playoffs 2 years out of 5. Lost in the second round. I mean, I don't think he's lit the world on fire, but you can't judge an American League coach because it's all about who the Rangers give them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So I don't worry about his American League. But they needed a different voice, and I know that's a cliche, but I'm sorry. I've been fired the very same way as Jay has, except I had been to the Stanley Cup Finals. It happens. And when your team goes south and their confidence is a disaster, you got to make the moves. And I applaud them for doing it. I really do. So here's the thing, though. The end of the day, you've been an Oiler fan for a long time, right?
Oh, so I'm a Leaf fan, Mac. I don't like the Oilers.
No, I know. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
You're an Oiler. So let me rephrase that. You're a Leaf fan, but you're an Oiler critic.
Yes.
So tell me when the last time the Oilers had a goaltender that you thought you had a chance to win a cup with in the last 15 years.
The only one that comes to mind for me was Cujo, because what he did, he stole some playoff series. Like, that would be the only guy that comes back.
And how long ago was that? How long ago was that?
It's several years ago. Several years ago. Like,
so Jay has got, you can't survive as a coach with goaltenders with 870 save percentages.
No,
you can't. You have no chance to survive as a coach. So, you know what? With all things said and done, we've got Knobloch there, Stuart Skinner, Jack Campbell in the minors. Listen, Jack Campbell, I listened to Kyprios talk all year that Jack is going to get paid $6 million for what he's done here in Toronto. You listened to it, and I listened to it.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He's done a great job for the Leafs. He deserves it. Then I watched him lose to Montreal, with a couple of bad goals, but he still gets his money. But you know what? That's the chance. But the Oilers moving forward have got to find a franchise goalie. They have to.
Yeah.
If Knobloch's going to be successful, if all the guys in management there are going to be successful and the coaches, they got to find a franchise goalie. And that's easy for me to say. That's harder to do. But that's, like you just said it. They haven't had a goalie you could what's his name? Koskinen, whatever the hell his name was.
Nico Koskinen. They had Mike
What
Smith.
Are you guys thinking about that? This guy's going to win. This guy's going to take you to, and go on and on and on. The names that have been there, like seriously.
There could be some argument for Cam Talbot because he did.
Cam was really good there.
Yeah,
but there's no way. And I love Cam. He was a teammate of my sons in college. Don't tell me Cam Talbot is a franchise goalie.
No. And he's obviously having a good year with the Kings right now, but it didn't go so good in Calgary, and it didn't go so good in Ottawa. But some of that was.
To me, Cam Talbot is a very good goaltender, but I don't see Cam Talbot And he may win a Stanley Cup in LA this year. He may.
Yeah.
I just don't. But he's a guy that's got to have every goaltender has to have a great team around them, a defensive team around them. I get all that, but I mean, I just think that's been a problem in Edmonton for 10 or 15 years. So
it's the same problem.
That'll be the fun thing.
Yeah, it's been the same problem.
Same problem in Toronto.
Yeah, 100%. It has been. It's not easy for sure. And I agree. I think this move with Chris coming in and Paul coming in it's either going to set up their organization to many great things down the road, or it's going to be the demise and the end of the Draisaitl McDavid era in Edmonton. Like, they have no choice. They have to make the playoffs this year. They don't make the playoffs this year, and if Leon Draisaitl doesn't sign an extension July 1st, and he says, I'm going to play this year out and do what William Nylander's doing right now, that might not be the best thing for the Oilers, because, I view this as Daryl Cates has feared that Connor McDavid is going to leave and Leon Draisaitl is going to leave Edmonton. That's the view I take. I don't think it's a coincidence. Like, it was Paul Coffey and it was Daryl Cates that approached Jeff Jackson. So in my eyes, that to me says, the thought of him leaving, because it's been this long and they haven't gone to a cup final yet. They haven't even won one. There has to be some real fear there. And I get that. That's, there's the pressure and you don't want to lose that guy. Would Connor leave? I don't know. I know he set up roots here. He's built a house. His community work is unreal. The work this guy does away from the rink, where there's no camera, there's no microphone, there's no cell phone, there's nothing. Like, he does these events like 6 to 8 times a year. No one knows about. As media, we're not even allowed to talk about it. I can only say what I can say now. And, Gene Principe says the same thing. There's certain things, like Connor will walk up to him and be like, hey, I heard this. And Connor goes, you cannot talk about that. And it doesn't get talked about. But, and I'm not just saying Connor does that. There's obviously, this game a lot. You've been around. There's a lot of guys that do that.
So I guess my issue with it is, first of all, if you're going to bring in Jeff Jackson as an owner, I've got to believe there's a little more to it than just Connor McDavid. Okay, and I don't blame the owner for wanting to keep Draisaitl and McDavid and doing whatever he can to keep them. I don't blame him for that. I think that's an astute move. But I also believe he just went through the Bob Nicholson situation. He's gone through a couple of others since he's been the owner, as far as president type guys. I've got to believe he saw more in Jeff Jackson than just Connor McDavid.
No, you would hope for sure.
I will tell you, I guarantee he did.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. What I watched go on the last 2 or 3 days tells me that Jeff Jackson, I loved his comment. I loved his comment at the press conference where he said, no, I didn't talk to the players. And you know why? Because he's 100% right. If you go to Connor McDavid as a GM and you say, what do you think? Do you think I should bring in Chris Knobloch? I guarantee you Connor McDavid's going to say, I don't really want to be involved in this decision. Yeah. I'm telling you that. And Jeff said that, and people laughed at him. And I'm telling you, he's 100% right.
Yeah.
Players do not want to be involved in those decisions. Yeah. They do not want to be. I used to talk to Rick Nash, and Nash would say, Doug, I really, please keep me out of this. Yeah. Keep me out of this.
Was that
they don't want to be
in every terms, Mac? Like, even player involvement in getting, if a trade came your way or something you thought of, was that still something that you knew Rick didn't want to hear about?
I would go to players all the time and say, what about this guy? Can you give me, tell me on the QT, can you tell me something about this guy? And, but I used to check out, before I'd hire a coach, I would check them out, but I wouldn't talk to current players about that. Mm-hmm. I would talk to former coaches, former guys that were GMs with them, scouts that were with them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't talk to players about a coach. I guarantee you that. So, you know what? I just, you might have a conversation with your players about the current coach, like Kenny said he did.
Yeah.
Kenny said, yeah, I talked to the veteran guys. That would have been, what's going on with my team here? What's happening with my team? I don't have a problem with that. But I guarantee you, Kenny nor Jackson, Jeff talked to Connor or Draisaitl about the hiring of Knobloch. I guarantee you they didn't do that.
Yeah, and I believe that too.
And anybody that tells me
out there, but
that's the narrative out there, and I'm telling you it's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm telling you it's wrong.
And
but anyway.
and Elliot agrees with you. Elliot Friedman. He said it on his airwaves too. That
but he's got to be a politician. I don't have to be one.
No, exactly. That's very, very true. Very true. Yeah.
All right, Mets fans, listen up. So SeatGeek is an amazing app that helps you buy tickets in the easiest way possible. So please, if you ever need to buy tickets to any event, NHL, NBA, NFL, CFL, MLB, or concert tickets, click the link in our description and use promo code 2MutsPod to get 20% off your first purchase. That's 2MutsPod to get 20% off your first purchase. SeatGeek is where it's at. This public service announcement is brought to you by our friends at CDN. Here's a crazy thought. Not all teamwear needs a team logo. Stand out in the crowd and rep your team colors with one of CDN's hockey hats. Listen, these hats are phenomenal. We just got ours a little while ago, and we've been wearing them nonstop. You know when you find a hat you love and you just can't take it off? Yep, that's how we feel with our CDN hat. Every time we wear it out, we get asked, "Where did you get that hat?" I know what you're thinking. How can I get one? Cue the details. Shop online 24/7 at www.wearecdn.ca and use the promo code 2MUTS for 15% off your order. Again, that's www.wearecdn.ca to get your new favorite hat and use the discount code 2MUTS at checkout for 15% off your order. Now back to the show.
So last one before we get you out, do you see them turning this around and getting into a wild card? And obviously that would be the first thing you would want to look at. If you get into the top three of the division, that's a bonus. But do you think they get into a wild card, knowing that LA won, Anaheim won last night and St. Louis, so those teams are still humming along pretty well here, and that's the teams the Oilers are chasing here.
I said before the game in Seattle, before Jay was fired. I said it on the Kiprio show. It must have been a week ago or more. I said Edmonton will make the playoffs. I'm telling you, they'll make the playoffs. They can't be the worst power play in the NHL for an entire 80 games. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl are going to fire it up and get it going. Yeah. They're too good a team. I said they were going to make the playoffs then. So I'm guaranteeing you, I've been wrong plenty, but I think they're going to be a playoff team. I really do. What are they, 6-7 points out right now? They're going to make the playoffs. If Knobloch's got he's got a big job to do, and there's some growing within the group here, but I think there's a better vibe now. And yeah, they're going to lose some games, but I still think the Oilers will make the playoffs. I do. Yeah.
I say the next 40 games, they got to go 6-4. 6-4, 6-4, and 6-4. If they go 6-4, you got to use these next, they got to use obviously 10 games at a time. But this next, they're already 2-0. So say these, they're 2-0 in their last two games. So the next 8, they gotta find a way to have a 6-4 record and do that again and again. I know it sounds hard, but
typically the way it is, when you look at the history of making the playoffs, if you don't have 20 points at 20 games, there's probably an 85% chance you're not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So 20 games, that looked to me the other day, they got to go 8-0-1 or something to get 20 points in 20 games. But because of their talent base, because if they get it going offensively, it will overcome some of their defensive liabilities. and overcome a little bit of their goaltending.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm counting on them getting in. I hope Skinner can be a good goalie for them, but I mean, I look at him with an 860 save percentage, and then I see him with a 970 the other night. No wonder they won. He has a 970 in that game.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so I see, because of their extraordinary superstar talent, can that overcome some of their deficiencies? Yeah. We'll see. I guarantee you Knobloch will help, but I guarantee you the bigger reason will be the same reason they had success with Woodcroft, because McDavid and Draisaitl led the way.
Correct. That would be it. That would be it for sure.
That would be it.
Yeah. All right, Mac. Well, thanks for the time. I think this was really good. This is a spirited and conversation and passionate one, and it always is. It's a really good.
That'll tick some people off. That's good.
That's what you want sometimes, now and again, right? It doesn't hurt. So,
The truth hurts.
It sure does. Oh, does it ever? So, all right,
good man.
Have a good one. We'll keep in touch.
Take care, bud.
Bye.